Hello and welcome back. Unfortunately, some somber news this evening as we're seeing a stabbing in Reading where 3 people have been killed after an attack in Forbury Gardens. So as we see some photos of the incident here, where there were of course the paramedics on the scene as well as the police, a couple of air ambulances as well. They were all in full swing. We see a plethora of ambulances and police in full riot gear. Of course, the idea being you can stop a bad man with a knife, with a good man with a gun. And the police have cordoned off the area, the block of flats out of which it happened in Forbury Gardens, with the news broadcasters, of course, reporting on it at the time. So, what exactly happened? Well, 3 people have died and 3 more have been seriously injured after stabbings in a park in Reading, police confirmed. This follows on the end of BLM protests, but, of course, the BLM organisers were saying that they had nothing to do with it, and I really hope that they didn't. But they did create an atmosphere of which these things could happen, especially if you're saying that the white people are bad and the police are evil. Then if you're stoking up racial tensions and racial hatred, then expect something like this to come out of it. However, in this instance, the motive is actually unclear. The person responsible, that the BBC is saying a 25-year-old man from Reading, has been arrested on suspicion of murder after being detained at the scene, is also thought to be Libyan. Now, I guess my geography's off, thinking that Libya is quite far from Reading, but he's from Reading. So, yes, other reports are saying he's a Libyan refugee. So much for being a refugee. Still bringing your culture with you, why not? But even with Britain, of course, having banned guns, so you can't have those mass killings, can you? Well, yes, you can. Depending if it's 3 or 4 people killed, different countries use different methods to decide if it's a mass killing, and if it's a mass shooting, it's 4 or more people shot. So in this instance, it would be a mass stabbing because more than 4 people have been stabbed. Not that they've been killed, only 3 have been killed. But still, given that we have this climate here and saying that people can't defend themselves because the British self-defence laws are very lacklustre, that you're then reliant on the police to come out to help you. And as we saw here, yes, the police did respond, but not before 3 people had already been killed. And the good man with a gun stops bad man with a gun is supposed to be a myth, but of course we've seen with Stephen Willeford in America stopping the church shooting that is definitely the case, and he's an interview with Stephen Crowder if you wish to learn more about that. But when it comes to a young, able-bodied man who is armed with a knife, trying to stop him, he's going to be one of the most difficult targets to take down if you yourself are not allowed to be armed. Bear in mind that just carrying a knife outside is illegal, so he was already a criminal as soon as he walked outside with the knife. Of course, that didn't stop him. It seems like banning these things doesn't stop criminals from carrying banned weapons. And we've also seen in London, a bit away from Reading, but still, that the reason that is officially cited for a lot of people carrying weapons is for protection, because they understand the police will take too long to get there and they need to be able to defend themselves, and therefore they're still going to break the law in some way in order to be able to protect themselves. That the law in these instances is often playing catch-up instead of being able to preempt and prevent such occurrences from happening. So the response has been what you'd expect. That, as the Sunday Mirror says, the police officer had rugby tackled the suspect to the ground. That is bloody brave, considering someone's got a sharp weapon and you could get stabbed in any way. Just like we saw with the terror attack on the train in France, and there were 3 Americans there who were trained in jiu-jitsu who wrestled him to the ground, got rid of his, I think it was an AK-47, then a pistol, then the knife, and the knife did the most damage, because of course you need him in close quarters in order to detain him. If he's got a long gun like an AK-47, then you can't really get that gun for shooting. Pistol is a bit more dangerous, but then the knife is most dangerous, which is why it severed the guy's thumb and ear who was trying to put him in a chokehold from behind until eventually they could and detained him. So good job with the 3 Americans on the French train to stop that from being a mass killing. But yes, the response saying that Detective Chief Superintendent Ian Hunter from Thames Valley Police said police were not looking for any other people in connection with the attack, adding the officers were keeping an open mind as to the motivation for the incident. And ISIS and the like haven't taken credit for it, and they're normally honest with these things, oddly enough, that if they don't take credit, it's probably not them. And if they do, then it probably is them. So Thames Valley have said the incident was not connected to an earlier Black Lives Matter protest in the park, which, yeah, we hope. I mean, obviously creating that climate is a different thing from being directly connected, of course. Boris Johnson said his thoughts are with all of those affected by this appalling incident in Reading. Yes, 3 people stabbed to death. What an incident. My thanks to the emergency services on the scene. Lawrence Wart, 20, who was visiting Reading for the day, told the BBC he was about 10 metres away when the attack started. Unintelligible words. I wonder what they were. Probably not English. He stabbed 3 of them and then turned and started running towards me when we turned and started running. When he realised he couldn't catch us, he tried to stab another group, sat down. He got one in the back of the neck, and when he realised everyone was starting to run, he ran out of the park. So it seems opportunistic, and it wasn't as if he was picking anybody in particular. And Priti Patel tweeted she was deeply concerned about the incident. Incident again. Deeply concerned. If you're the Home Secretary, this is the kind of thing that you're supposed to be on top of. She later issued a statement condemning the stabbings as a senseless attack on people simply enjoying a Saturday evening with family and friends. At least she did come out with a condemnation, eventually. Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer said the stabbing was very concerning. Yes. Why is it concerning? Do you think maybe diversity isn't a strength? The leader of Reading Council, Jason Block, said it was an entirely senseless and horrific attack in a very busy area with lots of people socialising. Reading is an incredibly strong community and celebrates its diversity, and I would expect that, just as in all trying times, people in Reading will come together and they won't allow themselves to be divided. Well, I think following on from the London attacks on Tower Bridge, for example, that this can only go on so long before people call for action and either say, we want the police to apply the law equally to everybody, and or we want to be able to defend ourselves because you're not going to be there for us. So either take control of it or allow us to take control of our own lives. But I'll keep you updated as the story unfolds, but for now, that's it. So, as I keep saying, stay safe, and until next time, have a good one.